Dallas Mavericks are 4-0 so far this season. But before we get too far into it, this is a YouTube video, so I'm legally mandated to ask you guys to like and subscribe. It really helps out the video and the channel, and I greatly appreciate it. But now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about the Dallas Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks have been really good this season. Obviously, they've gone 4-0, they've won all their games, and there's a lot of things to like about this team. But there's also a few things to cause some concern, but let's start with the positives. Now, the first thing that maybe I don't even really need to talk about is Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic is basically averaging a 33-point triple-double. I think maybe he's just under 10 on the assist. Luka looks really good out there, and I don't even know how much more I can say. He's finding his teammates, he's getting his own shot. It seems like there's nothing Luka can't do on the offensive side of the ball. But other than Luka, there's also a lot of new additions to the team that have been helping out. There's Grant Williams, who's been elite from three so far. He's shooting over 50% on his threes so far this season. Now, that's kind of something that you can expect to, keep going. Shooting over 50% from three would be insane. Maybe he can shoot around 40% or high 30s. But if he could stay around there, I think he'll be a great addition to the team. Derrick Jones Jr. has been a surprise. He started all 4 games so far. He had 22 points, I think it was, against the Grizzlies, and then he followed it up with 17 against the Bulls. And he's shooting the 3 ball with more confidence than I've ever seen in his career, pretty much. And another guy that I really want to talk about was Derek Lively II. I don't know if it's the second or junior. He has the 2 eyes on the back of his jersey, so I assume it's the second. But I also hear people say junior a lot, so I don't know. He's just been a really nice addition for the Mavericks. He rolls hard to the basket. He's a lob threat, one of the best lob threats in the league, probably. He really chases the glass, gets offensive rebounds, and, he makes his presence known on defense. He contests a lot of shots, and I think I want to make even his own dedicated video about Derek Lively Jr., breaking down some film, so keep an eye out for that. But also, someone who's been on the team a long time now is Tim Hardaway Jr., and I think Tim Hardaway Jr., he's kind of a guy where every season you kind of don't know what you're going to get from him. But so far, this has been a good Tim Hardaway season. He's had some good games, some good halves, and, he's had a few quarters where he didn't look that great, but that happens. But overall, he's been a real positive for this team. But now that we got some of the positives out of the way, let's talk about some of the maybe negatives and also just some things that will maybe make you think twice about this team's success. And one is Kyrie Irving so far. Now, this could also kind of be a positive because they did win 2 of the 4 games without Kyrie Irving. And the 2 games that Kyrie Irving did play, he didn't really look that good. So you could spin this in a way that this is good for the Mavericks. They were able to get these 4 wins even without Kyrie even being there or being, producing at his normal level. But you could also spin it in a bad way that is Kyrie not the same guy anymore? But I think looking at his track record of work over his whole career, I think you have to assume that he's going to get back on track soon whenever he comes back. And hopefully that's the case, but he hasn't been great in his first 2 games and then missing some time. It's just something to think about. Second, what's not great is their defense. In the first game specifically against the Spurs, their defense didn't really look good at all. It's looked better since then and probably looked the best against the Bulls. But overall in the season, as far as defensive rating goes, they're 19th in the league, so they're just barely missing the bottom 10 there. But what makes up for that is how good their offense have been. They've been, according to offensive rating, the 2nd best offense in the league, only behind the otherworldly Celtics, who are by far the best team in the league right now. And that leaves them with, the 4th highest net rating in the league. And that's pretty good. That's, I think, only behind the Celtics, the Clippers, and one other team. It's not even the Nuggets. It's the 76ers, surprisingly. I don't know why I said surprisingly. They've been pretty good this year. But, they're ahead of teams like the Warriors and the Nuggets in net rating. But one of the other things that gives me concerns about the Mavericks so far is that all 4 of their games and victories have been against teams that are, not the best. The Spurs, they definitely have flashes of looking great. And they did beat the Suns, but that was without Devin Booker or Bradley Beal. And they only won by 1 off of a buzzer beater. Or maybe a foul could have been called on Trey Jones, which would have, had the Spurs lose the game. But They've also played the Grizzlies, the Bulls, and was it the Nets? So the Nets have been a decent team. They haven't been as good on defense as I think a lot of people thought they would be. But, you know, that was a relatively close game with a team that, if you're a real playoff team, maybe shouldn't really be hanging with you like that. Now, against the Grizzlies, they did put them away by 15. But if you watch that game, it was kind of a close game until the fourth quarter there. The Grizzlies were hanging around for a while. Marcus Smart was really good. And against the Bulls, it was a somewhat close game, I think 9 points. But for the most part, it felt like the Mavericks were kind of in control. But this game really sticks out to me because Luka didn't have a good shooting night. Luka, I think he was 1 from 8 from 3, and he didn't shoot well from 2 either. But the Mavericks were still able to get the win, and I think that's a real positive sign because obviously Luka was still, you know, impactful even though his shots weren't falling. But Grant Williams was able to put on a game. I think he hit like 6 threes. Derrick Jones Jr. had 17 points, like I said earlier. And overall, it was just a good game from the team. And it's really promising to see them be able to win without Luka being the man. But coming up on Friday, they'll be playing the Denver Nuggets, which I think will be their first real test this season. You know, going up against like a real contending team, and seeing how they handle that. You know, will they be able to hang with the Nuggets? I don't think anyone could blame them for losing because, you know, this is the Nuggets coming off a championship. Hopefully they can win. I'm a Mavericks fan, all transparency. But how close can the Mavericks keep it? How much of a game will this be? Can they make it not a blowout? Which I think they can. And I think they could even win given the right circumstances. But we'll just have to wait and see till Friday. You know, Nikola Jokic is on another planet when it comes to basketball. But Luka Doncic isn't that far behind. Watching Luka Doncic play basketball, he looks like someone who, when everything's, you know, said and done in his career, could be one of like the 3 best players ever. He looks like someone who could be that kind of player. But that being said, there's a lot to like about the Mavericks this season. They've been a great offense. It's just kind of risky when it comes down to, can the non-Luka players on the team keep hitting their shots? And I think they can. I think they have good personnel. But, you know, you're always at risk of them having an off night. And what if Luka has an off night? And then it's just not the most reliable system to win a championship. And that's where Kyrie Irving's kind of supposed to help. When Luka's not there or when other people aren't hitting, Kyrie's supposed to help steady the ship. And so far this season, he hasn't been able to, or he's been out. Very small sample size of games, though. Looking at Kyrie's career, his track record, he should be able to get back on track. I'd be surprised if he didn't. You know, there's a lot of things to consider. Just looking at it right now, the Mavericks are looking like they'll be easily a top 5 seed in the West. But like I said before, they haven't really had a real test so far this season. They haven't played a great team. And I think we'll just have to wait and see on how they handle the Nuggets on Friday before we can really make some assumptions about the Mavericks. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Leave your guys' thoughts about the Mavericks down in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.